Good morning, everybody. This is a meeting of the Consolidated Commission on Utilities. It's a work session for the Guam Power Authority. For the record, those present are myself, Commissioner Limchaco, Commissioner Sanchez, and Commissioner Santos. Commissioner Martinez, I think, is going to try and join us online, but if he doesn't make it, he's excused for today. Okay.
Sir, would you
Acting
like
General, the floor is yours.
And good morning. Would you like to start with the GM report, or would you like to go
No,
straight
no,
to
we
the
go to
issues?
the issues for decision.
All right.
Let's go to the meat of the matter.
When is Mr. Beneventi returning?
He returns, thank God, on Sunday.
So he'll be here for,
Yes, you will see him on Tuesday.
Very good.
so in that case, do the GM report now then.
No, no. Yeah, we'll have you do the GM report
Start
after.
is
Okay.
I need to share this with you. When he was up first to explain, he said, I have a 100-page PowerPoint. The room was vacated like quick. What the hell?
Okay.
GM report?
No,
just
the
teasing.
resolutions.
Just
Let's go.
teasing.
So
Okay.
the first resolution we have is FY 2024-007, and that's relative to the approval of a unified pay scale and adoption of the 2022 market update and implementation plan for the Guam Power Authority. Rick, do I need your microphone?
Yes.
It's on. Okay, I believe that that GPA had discussed this in a previous work session. And I believe, sir, that you have asked our legal counsel first to address, both Teresa and Marianne, to address a ratepayer letter that came in, and you would like to hear that prior to the commission
Okay.
discussing any more.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, we just got the 28-page response to, can we just kind of table that on the side so we can all time to
I
read
was
it?
going to say,
mean-
why don't we have them identify the issues and their short answer?
Well, she did. It's on
No,
page
no,
one.
no. What I mean is, let's have them give
Fine,
that to us
I-
today.
yeah.
And then we can absorb the material, and on Tuesday, if we have any other questions, okay? But, you know,
Of course, Mr. Chair, Commissioners,
So-
if that's what you like. Just to clarify, the actual memo is 7 pages. The rest
okay.
are attachments.
Because the rest are attachments, okay.
Yes.
But give us the issues you've identified based on the ratepayer's letter or concerns, and give us your short answer.
Oh, you'd like to hear that now?
Yeah, why don't you do
Okay,
that now?
sure. So, on, just for the record, it was during last month's regular meeting that, during the public comment portion of the CCU's agenda, you, Mr. Chairman, announced that a letter was received by Mr. Michael Carlson, and the letter was entitled "A Ratepayer's Review and Comment to the Recent Alan Searle Proposal to the CCU to Artificially Migrate GPA and GWA Staffing Patterns." The letter was not read into the record, but I've confirmed with the CCU Board Secretary, and the letter was included and is attached now as an attachment A to the CCU's April 29 meeting minutes.
Okay.
So for the public's information, it is available online on the CCU's website, or will be available online via the meeting minutes. So essentially, the ratepayer raised 2 issues. The first was, has the CCU and GWA and GPA acted contrary to Public Law 28113 and 28159 by approving and including all utility positions in the Searle compensation study as CTPs, or certified technical professional positions? And our short answer is no. The CCU and GPA have not acted contrary to those public laws. The public laws are specific, and they give very distinct powers to the general manager, subject to the approval of the board. And therefore, by our review of all of the resolutions and the records that the CCU holds for both GPA and GWA, it's clear that all utility positions meet the definitions of being highly skilled or certified technical and professional positions as mandated by law. Pursuant to the record, that we have. And this record is a record that spans so many years, Mr. Chair. It starts in 2006. It goes on through 2018 up until today, and that is why this is a little lengthy. Okay, and the second issue is, has CCU and GWA and GPA improperly accepted recommendations from its consultant to apply a 20% internal equity versus an 80% external equity methodology to its review of its compensation and pay structures for its CTP employees? And our short answer is no. GPA and GWA's consultants have not permitted its consultant to act contrary to any law permitting an 80% external equity and 20% internal equity. And you'll see that we've provided the law as the attachments. And there are requirements when the utilities solicit for a study for position classification structures, and the law is general. It really doesn't attach a specific numerical division to internal and external equity. The only thing the law requires is that that is performed. And those are the short answers. Okay?
Just a quick question, and I know we'll take up and we'll read it more. Do we still have an A and B list, or we sort of? It sounds like we started with an A and B list, right? So there were some of our employees, at least in the beginning, right? And the best example I was like, at least initially, right? The cashier for Guam and the cashier for us pretty much do the same thing, right? Then you're reminding us, me, my colleagues probably remember, that over the years we modified that because even jobs like a cashier related to our utility work, there's other requirements that require some sort of technical or professionalization or something. So in effect, we eliminated the original A and B, and now everyone is a CTP?
Everyone is a CTP. What happened was in 2018, there were so many employees, both on GPA and GWA's staffing pattern or employee listing, that were still classified as non-CTPs. They were non-CTPs, so what happened is the utilities reevaluated those CTPs. They determined, simply stating that they were obsolete. They removed those CTPs from the list. They created new positions. New positions.
GM proposed and we adopted.
Right. And the position descriptions were all included in the specific resolutions that were adopted. And the position descriptions, also include really clear, duties that illustrate that duties are technical and specific to those, and specific to the utility really, and our role, so we can ensure our service and our.
So, I mean, I know I helped get the law created, right? So, and then we had A's and B's, and then I noticed our sister authorities, they didn't have a list of A and B, they just threw everybody in there. We at least went through a process 12 years later of making sure is A and B still relevant to our operations. We determined that even our non-CTP players, because of the uniqueness of our businesses, qualified to be migrated into a CTP pay format, right? Management brought it to us, and we approved it in 2018, right? Where now everyone, there is no more A and B, right? Everyone is a CTP in both companies.
Everyone is a CTP.
Right. So
Just want to make sure I get the story.
the A and B list still exists in the original law.
Correct.
However, in practice, as just Teresa had said, the law allows the CCU the authority to approve, disapprove, and amend the CTP list. So starting in 2017, that's exactly what this body did. This body took the resolutions from both utilities, and you created first utility-specific positions. You had mentioned cashiers. So what both utilities did is we looked at those non-CTP positions, and we evaluated each position that was on the list. Some were not filled, some were. We created proposed job standards, position descriptions. We went through the AAA process back in 2017, And then we presented it to the CCU, and our request was for both utilities, we would like your permission to create these positions. The CCU looked at everything, ensured that we did everything per the AAA process and the law, and approved those, excuse me, those positions. After those positions were created, then we went through and looked at every then employee who had been in the previous positions that were non-CTP. After going through training and looking at, to ensure that they actually met the criteria, it was only at that point that that those employees were transitioned into the new positions. So we did not actually just transfer a
There was
non-CTP
a whole
position and change it to CTP. That is not what happened.
Yeah, there was a whole process. of
Correct.
doing that.
That's correct.
So can we, I haven't,
So the short answer to your question is the A and B list still technically exists, but in both authorities, we have a consolidated list and all employees are CTP or all positions.
yeah, and I assume that's captured in the
That's captured.
seven-pager?
That's why
Right,
you're gonna
that's
have the
consistent.
weekend to read it.
Or make sure between what you're saying and what Tracy's saying, thank you for reviving my memory. But that to me is consistent with the intent of the law, the intent of how we did it. Because I know our sister authorities eventually basically didn't even start with an A and B. They just went to everybody's CTP.
I would
right?
know.
And well, that as I watched that law get implemented and watched us do A and B and go through the initial process, which then was updated in a very sophisticated and legal process. So between your 7 pages and what Tracy said, I hope that, let's make sure that that history is recounted, so when we respond to Mr. Carlson, or assuming we adopt this letter or whatever we're gonna do on Tuesday.
And the legal.
Yeah, but that was very good, thank you. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Moving right along.
Sir, did you want to review the documents in front of you as far as Resolution 2024-007 are the same as the previous work session? Did you want to review it again?
No.
No.
We'll review it on our own over the weekend.
All right.
When we get to the meeting, if we have any questions, we'll bring them up then.
Okay. So our next resolution is a GPA resolution number FY 2024-21. It's relative to authorizing the management of the Guam Power Authority and the Guam Waterworks Authority to award the contract for merchant banking services and to petition the PUC for approval. I'll remind the commission that we did this a couple of years ago. So these our merchant banking procurement. We pushed that out, and the result is that the vendor, which is the proposed awardee, Bank of Hawaii, was the lowest, most responsive, and responsible bidder. And so we're asking the commission today to approve the award. John, would you like to talk about it?
Just what's the rate in comparison to what it was before?
The rate is pretty much
What's
same.
the fee, John? Tell us, what percentage are you asking? More than three, more than three?
No,
Is it
it's
scaled?
yes, it's just a percentage. So it will be
So it's what?
yeah. So they're giving us a fixed Mastercard rate, which is 0.75 cents per transaction, plus a few cents, like 0.001% transaction fee. For a Visa card, will be whatever the interchange rate is, plus there's 0.01% transaction fee. All other stuff is pretty much waived, most other banking fees.
Okay.
But it's per transaction for both MasterCard and Visa
Yes, it's based on per transaction.
versus percentage? Okay.
And that's based on the amount that they're paying, right? Obviously, you're higher because the average power bill is far larger than a
Yes.
water bill.
Yes.
Okay. But it's per transaction, so we don't care if it's a $400 credit card charge or a $100 credit card charge.
Yes, for a Mastercard, yes, it's the same. For business, if you have a business card, it's about $1.50 plus 0.01% transaction fees.
So our friends from the hotels can come in and put their business card on the,
If it's a Mastercard, we will accept it, except for Visa. Because Visa, if you bring 100,000 bill and with a Visa card, that's too much for us. Yeah.
So we don't allow them to pay, we don't take the card at that point?
We asked them for a check.
Oh,
or
to
for-
pay
to pay the bill.
Pay the
Pay the power bill.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You won't you don't accept the credit card?
Yes.
can't
That-
break up
yeah.
the payment?
We use it with the
Visa.
Yes.
Not-
MasterCard we
MasterCard's
did.
okay,
Yes.
right?
MasterCard's okay.
Okay.
Yes.
You can't break up the payments. I'll give you 50 grand this week, next.
If it's MasterCard, we'll accept it.
Yeah, because it's transaction.
Yeah, it's
Percentage,
per
we don't
yeah,
like.
it's like $1.50 plus a very small percent transaction fee.
You train the customer.
You're not the same as your sister company. You don't need a bank account to do this? Authorization from us to open a new bank account?
Oh, we have an account with First Hawaiian Bank. Yeah, we have an existing account.
Is it
It's
interest bearing?
First Hawaiian Bank or Bank of Hawaii?
I'm sorry, yeah, Bank of Hawaii. Actually, we have bank with almost every bank. I mean, practically
Like
account
I
with.
asked Telling, is it interest bearing or are we just giving our money to them?
No, what we do is we have a Bank of Hawaii account. So when the money gets in, we sweep it in as the money
Yeah,
comes.
sweep account.
Yeah, we have a sweeping account.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay, next.
Okay, so the next one I'll give also to John Kay. The next resolution is Resolution FY 2024-22 to authorize the management of the Guam Power Authority to petition the Guam Public Utilities Commission to maintain the Levelized Energy Adjustment Clause LEAC for the period of August 1, 2024 through January 31, 2025. The PUC will, GPA would like to proposes to maintain the current LEAC at 26.19 cents per kilowatt hour for the periods of August 1 through January 31, 2025. GPA did not include costs associated with DSM rebate program for this period. The most recent Morgan Stanley market projects the average fuel price is expected to be $112.73 per barrel for the period ending January 31, 2025. Projected over-recovery for the same period at the LEAC rate of 26.19 is $2.2 million. And so, John, I'll let you handle this as well.
Yes. So if we look at in the past couple of months, the fuel price has been slowly dropping. I think this month probably was the lowest. We're purchasing about $133 for that was just last purchase we had in April, was about $133 a barrel. The other one we purchased is the low sulfur diesel, and we're purchasing a little bit below $100 and about $100, and the one that just came in. The last purchase was just this month that just came in. It was about $109.72. That's for diesel. So we looked for the PUC filing. They require us to do a 5-day average. So we took a 5-day average of the futures from May 13 to May 17. When we did that, the average is about $97. This is just from the market, doesn't include premiums and transportation fees. So we plug that into our models. So previously, our current rate is about 26 cents per LEAC. And the next slide is our history of our, it's a history. So the highest we did was 31 cents when we dropped to 23 cents. When there was a disturbance in the Middle East in the latter part of 2023, the price has gone up. We asked for an increase to 26 cents. And looks like it's, we said at that time in January that we would not do the recovery within 6 months, but recover over 1 year. So we're in the near the second half or first half. So we're near the projection. So if the field maintained the way it is right now, by next year in January, we're predicting over recovery of close to $2 million. But there will be fluctuation in the middle, but this is based on the current fuel price.
I imagine if you lowered the LEAC to not over-recover 2 million, it would be minuscule.
Yes.
At least, well, it's been a long journey,
Yes.
right? COVID, we front 60 million. 2025, we'll get it back to 2 million.
Yes. Provided the fuel price remains steady. One of the risks we have is when the fuel prices are low, the OPEC comes together and the car production cost. So we do have that risk.
Yep.
I mean, just looking at that, John, we're averaging 7 million because you went from 33 million to 16 million estimated for up to July.
Yeah. So right now, our under recovery is, as of April, is $27.9 million. So we're slowly recovering it, but we're hoping by July, next couple of months, if the fuel price drops, then under recovery will be about $16 million.
So you're gonna recover 10 million in 2 months?
Yes, that's a projection.
It's running, if you do the math, they're running about 7. That doesn't matter if you can do the simple math, but I'm just curious if you go to your table, it's on page.
Well, it's 27 mil now, as of today, and
Yeah.
by July it'll be 16, so.
Yeah. So we have May, June, July, got 3 months.
And then by next February, it's lower.
But you're already in May, right? You're
Yes.
almost done with May, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've already bought the tank.
Yes.
Right, so. Okay, so I mean, the projection is though we're gonna recover this huge under recovery, which reached 47 million in 2022.
Yes.
By next February 1, we'll be down to 2 million.
Yes.
And
I mean,
then,
I'm sorry, we will be over 2 million.
Yes,
Right, so
yes.
we will have gotten that 47 million back. But that's why I was saying, look how many years it took. And it's been a long exercise of first, when COVID hit, we didn't raise, but we advanced, we took money out of the college tuition, said, now we gotta put it back in the wallet, and that's what we're doing. And we're on the verge, based on this recommendation, of holding the LEAC till next February, and that'll get our 47 million down to +2.
Yes.
and so then the initial commissioning for Ukudu is projected to start in March still?
I mean, the testing will be will be on March, but the actual commissioning, September 30.
But we'll start to actually produce
Yes.
burn fuel
Yeah.
at less cost or less consumption rate, more efficient, starting in March.
Right, and it bears reminding, as we're talking about the fuel, that the fuel prices is one component, but also in order to comply with US EPA air standards, we needed to switch to a cleaner fuel for both our Cabris baseloads and then our ultra-low sulfur diesel, so at PD8 and 9. So we are buying more expensive but cleaner fuel, and we have stopped buying the really cheap RFO. And then to Commissioner Limtiako's point, approximately 6 months prior to the commissioning of the new plant will have to test, as John Kay had said, and Jen had mentioned. And so during that time, we will have to purchase that fuel and start to fill the tanks, which you'll see are nearly complete after that devastating devastating blow from Mawar. And so the tanks are nearly rebuilt, and we're going to have to start making plans to buy that fuel so that we can fill those tanks for the testing.
Okay, so, yeah, just anecdotally, so, in my golf group is one of the chief guys for KEPCO, right? And he says exactly what Tracy's saying. The testing will start even with the batteries, the shifting. They're trying to, the September is you gotta be open, everything's gotta be open, right? But even now, as they're getting ready, they're gonna start to test and feed energy into the system. And every time they feed energy into the system, it helps us buy less fuel.
So, okay, but, so here's my question, right? When whatever you want to call it, transition, switching, what happens? Okay, because as I understand, we are the ones buying the fuel.
Yes, we are.
Okay, so when, let's say March is the best case scenario that this thing is turned on, how do we power down Cabras 1 and 2? Or is that the plan, or, I mean, just help us understand, we all understand what the testing is gonna encompass, but when they, like Simon says, turn on the switch and it is generating power,
So you're
What-
gonna have to lower loads from the other plants, and typically the daytime we're taking all the solar.
Uh-huh.
So we would be normally we would have Cabras 1 and 2, MEC 1 and 8 and 9 online, and then all the reserve facilities are down, and the solar's producing what they're producing. So we lower the base loads units to accommodate whatever solar's producing.
plus
And we-
whatever Okadu decides
so
to
when
turn
Ukudu
on.
starts to come online, then we start to lower. When they start commissioning, they're not gonna commission 198 right away. They're gonna be doing the 45 megawatt CTs one at a time, and then they'll bring in the steam generator at the end. So they're gonna be doing this over several weeks between units
Yeah.
to get each unit tested. And
Okay,
so by
but-
the end of probably August or so, that's when you'll start to see the bigger loads online.
For limited periods of time.
Yeah, as
Full
they
load by
test.
September.
When will
They're
that
gonna
be,
test
Jennifer?
unit per unit.
When will that be?
I gotta check the schedule, sir, but initially they were looking at February for commissioning start. I might move to March is what I'm hearing.
Okay. Well, you can give us an update on Tuesday night. That concerns us. In other words, the Commissioner Santos's question is valid. As they start to do the ramp up and testing, I understand what I heard you say is they're gonna start testing the combustion turbines first, making sure they're running, and then they're gonna hook in, they have to have the water, by the way, it's cool, but they're gonna hook in the steam plant with the heat.
Yeah, I
Right.
believe that's one of that'll be the last unit that will be.
So
And
like
it's-
around
And
what-
it's
okay.
because that's the heat recovery system,
Right.
so it's using the exhaust from the turbines. So they test all the turbines first and then they do the steam turbine.
So what is our projected fuel expense
During,
6 months from now, or 7 months from now?
I-
Because we're the ones buying, as I
We would have
understand,
to
the fuel.
purchase the fill beforehand,
Yeah.
obviously, and then LEAC is based on consumption. So the purchase will be initially done and the tanks will be filled. But my understanding is LEAC is based on consumption, so the consumption will change as they're testing.
Yeah, so as they provide us energy, we ratchet back the Cabrases or the CTs.
That would be the ideal.
And it's gonna be incremental while they test.
efficient.
Right. And then as they get more
So we're gonna be-
better, they give us while they're testing, so
So you
it'll
back
be
off-
We'll
marginal.
recover
back
the
off
LEAC.
the
You back
other-
off
and
the
then
others,
we'll
and they
begin
burn
to
less fuel,
consume lower
which
fuel,
helps your
right?
LEAC.
So that's the, that's what I was trying to.
Buying, you know,
Yeah.
two spigots are gonna turn on, one for Cabras and one for Okadu. And it's our expense. I mean, we're buying the fuel, they're not buying the fuel to test their own, in our case, their own bush cutter.
But the Cabras spigot, when we shut down Cabras, that fuel we just send to Ukudu.
But Simon, I mean, that's not gonna happen overnight.
yeah, we're just trying to get a feel.
Yeah, we're
for
trying to
the-
get a feel for what exactly.
The
because
transition.
We're telling a good story about the LEAC being contained and maintained. But come February, assuming all goes well, we're gonna be consuming some extra fuel, at least I think so, to turn on Okadu.
Well, you're gonna buy the fuel, but the new plant, as a commission, is gonna consume less fuel.
Right.
You gotta buy the fuel though, right?
Okay, I get that part, that we
We
gotta
won't
buy
really
the
know.
fuel,
You're
but
asking-
we're not,
yeah,
we're
you're
not
asking-
purchasing power at that point.
Right, but you're asking the right question. But, I mean, the logic is as they test and we get some energy, it is a cheaper cost. It will one reason is because it uses less fuel. The funky projection will be next February 1, when the team has to go between February 1 and August.
that
How
one.
much testing, how much can they give us when they give us before September?
Right.
I won't be surprised if the LEAC kind of hovers around the same number unless oil, depending what oil does,
Yeah.
next February. We're all kind of watching, because it's up to Ukudu to tell us, and Jen and John to say, this is how much they think they're gonna give us between now and September. Does that take off other generators from burning more fuel because they're less fuel efficient? They make a projection. we'll have a much better understanding next August, right? 'Cause then it's basically online, because on September they have to be online.
And as we lower, because we aren't purchasing power, but we're receiving power, so that's gonna offset other production from other units. So
Okay.
if we're lowering Cabras, we're not burning that fuel. So the next time we order fuel, it might be less.
Yeah.
Also,
So, and that's over several months.
Commissioner, also, when you start talking about the ordering of the fuel, we're also not going to be ordering at the same frequency the low sulfur RFO for Cabras 1 and 2. So that's a more expensive fuel as well. So when we're looking, I get what you're saying, and you're completely right. But the frequency of the two types of fuel we're ordering will be dynamic. It'll change.
So as they turn on the jet, whatever the schedule is that they're gonna turn on the testing, as we call it, right? Is our grid ready?
Well, yes.
No, that to me is
I mean,
is the grid
they're
ready?
not tied into us yet, but we can receive them once they're able to.
You're gonna tie
put-
them in.
Push the power through
That's the last thing
Harmon.
they connect.
I mean, they're basically just putting it into the system, and then we just
offsetting.
distribute
Yeah,
it.
and you're offsetting what Cabras was
So-
putting into the system.
Yeah, so our guys are, they've been working, the commissioning team they have a commissioning team, and they've had folks, putting this plan together as how they're gonna work it. And dispatch is aware, and, we're also working on making sure we have the, communications in there so that we can see what their system is doing. We're not there yet, I mean, they're still working these things out, but come February, March, those should all be in place in order for us to
They'll be
see,
clear.
to monitor, to do what we need to do to protect our system. So there's protections that are involved in this whole project. There's really protections that are necessary in order to protect our grid for anything that may happen on their side. Again, this is testing, so they'll be testing for trips. There may be issues in the system that might trip. So, we plan for that, we anticipate it, and then our guys just work around that when those things happen.
So, John, our current fuel purchase is 3 months at a time still? We're buying 90-day fuel supplies?
No, we usually have between 45 to 60 days of supplies of fuel. We order about 45 days.
Do about 10 tankers a year, 10, 11, right?
Yeah, about 10 tankers a year.
And then that frequency will change with the new capacity of the storage tanks to what?
Right now, we're trying to get 1934, 1935 online to bring in the new fuels, but they're still decommissioned. They're still working on it. I don't think they'll be online until end of this year.
Oh, yeah, but when they do come online, and you have the added capacity up at Ukadu, what would that new frequency look like?
Yeah, that's something we have to look at, because
I think what you're getting is the gist of what the commissioners are looking for as we go forward. You need to start giving us more and more information in terms of how this transition is going to occur.
yeah.
Because we want to be able to make sure that we explain this to our ratepayers and we have a plan. You guys are still working on the plan, I get it. And I understand what you're going to do is you're going to end up with the pipeline putting oil into the big tank up at Ukadu that's now built. And as you do that, you're going to be wrapping down, I would imagine, Cabras 1 and 2, which are the worst units off. And then you're going to start slowly not ordering the low sulfur RFO. You're going to start backing away from that because you're going to be burning it less and ordering just the ultra low sulfur diesel, which will go into the tanks at Cabras and also the tank at Ukadu. And you're going to hook in the Ukadu plant into the Harmon substation, which will now become like a main substation up there, right? Your 115, that's the 115 line that'll come straight. And that's the nice part, it's a short run. One of the good things I like about this is that major power plant is up there. It's a short run for that 115 line to the main power station.
That is where the load is.
Yeah, and if you have any problems, like during a storm or whatever, it's easy to put back rather than go over the mountain. This last storm we had with Mauer, we had to bring in the guys from Washington State, the high power guys, to help us put that line over the mountain back over. That's a major work, okay? the beautiful thing that I'm thinking is, as we simplify our life and we get that, 60% of our load is up here, okay? So, and we have a lot of underground transmission lines, we're still working on that too. We have a beautiful plan, The problem is in the transition, and we just need more information as we go forward, as you learn how you're gonna do this. You need to keep us informed, that's all.
Yeah, and John's made guesstimates. I mean, we've seen it where it's we go from 2.8 million barrels to, we could cut it in half, but that's after some solar farms. Some of the solar farms we're boarding are also online in the next 2 to 3 years. But right off the top, maybe Tuesday, just remind us, when Ukudu turns on in September, what is the forecasted fuel savings that will emerge from Ukudu? That's why we're all excited about Ukudu. It is so much more fuel efficient than anything we have. And therefore, it's going to produce power using less fuel. LEAC is fuel, things are better. Right? So maybe Tuesday remind us just what Ukudu does on itself,
For the
by
fuel
itself,
portion.
before you do the solar farms. But I know once we do this solar award, the estimate, you're going to cut fuel in half. And the last presentation that you showed us was we dropped down to 14 cents maybe when the LEAC could drop to 14 when the solar farms are on, because the average rate, blended rate, is like 11 cents coming out of Ukudu. So the data has been provided to us. Maybe just remind us on
Just keep
Tuesday. You can
updating
see where
us.
we're going. We want to, since we're doing the LEAC, we're all interested in LEAC now, LEAC next February 1, and LEAC. We're really interested in LEAC August 1, right when that plant's about to open.
Okay.
Okay.
Your last one.
Thank you, sir. Our last issue for decision today is GPA Resolution FY 2024-23, relative to authorizing the issuance and sale of the Guam Power Authority revenue refunding bonds, approving forms of related documents, agreements, and actions, and authorizing the execution and delivery thereof. As you know, GPA has been pursuing strategies for reducing debt service payments, which would be of significant assistance in paying for the capacity payment of the new Ukudu power plant, which we were just discussing. One strategy that has emerged as a result of the low interest rates has been the concept of refunding all or a portion of GPA's outstanding 2014 Series A revenue bonds for interest rate savings. The issuance of the refunding bonds is subject to the approval of the legislature, which issuance of the refunding bonds has been approved by the legislature and signed by the governor and became Public Law 37-35. The approval of the GITA is required for the issuance and sale of the refunding bond, and the board of GITA is expected to consider for approval, among other things, the issuance and sale of the GPA refunding bonds at its May 30th meeting. The approval of the PUC is required for as the issuance and sale as well. And the PUC, we have submitted our docket for review, and some pending issues or decisions rather would be from this body as well as the GITA board. And so with that, I'll allow John Kay to discuss the recent meeting in New York and the outcomes thereof and any updates to the final numbers.
Yes, we had a meeting 2 days ago. The Wells Fargo gave us an update. The interest rate looks like it's going to be about 4.3. The savings went up much better than before. It's now looking around $266,000 saving per annum for the next 20 years. Before that, so like 11,000. So, but what they're looking said is by mid-July or July, that's when the market it's more flooding active. What they're saying is that a lot of the investors want to invest before the election. So our key is try to get it done before then.
Okay. Good. Commissioner Sanchez.
Just, I know we meet the law minimum 2%, right, NPV.
Yes.
This is 4, but I guess I'm spoiled because GWA came out with a $14 million NPV on their recent refi. So I was sort of expecting, I'm just curious why, maybe you can chat with your counterpart. I'm just sort of curious why this refi, while it meets the criteria, it's only a 2.6 million. And we want it, we'll take every penny we can save for ratepayers, we'll take, but I was a little disappointed in how low the projected NPV was compared to GWA's refi.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I forgot to mention the NPV earlier. The new NPV looks like about 3.3 now because the interest rates got a little bit better. Also, the thing is, our par amount that we're refunding is very small. It's only about $58 million. So it's,
Yeah. So, I mean, I tease our underwriter friends, I mean, because they still make a nickel, right?
Yeah.
But I was saying, sometimes I worry that sometimes they urge you to refi, like, okay, whose nest are you improving, right? I mean, we meet all the criteria, but we're spoiled. GWA's NPV was $14 million, right? At roughly the same.
No, but the amount.
But now I know why, because
Yeah,
the
the-
principal amount that we refi
Yes,
is
very
smaller. But, okay, you have a small loan, we're gonna save money on the small loan, that's why
We'll
it's a
take
small
it.
savings, but
We
we'll
take
take
it all.
Yeah. So that, you answered it, it's a smaller amount of debt that's being refi, because we got, GWA spoiled us, right? They came back with a big number.
GWA has more debt than
Yeah,
GPA at
yeah,
this
that's
time.
true too.
Quite a bit more.
Yeah, okay, very good.
But, every penny counts. What we do is we try and save everywhere we can for our ratepayers.
Yeah, it's worth $2 million in
Yeah,
today's
we
dollar.
take it. Okay, and that's it.
Sir,
So-
I do, excuse me, but I know you don't want me to go through the GM report, which I won't, but I did want to point out a couple of things that are important
Give us
for the board
highlights.
to know.
Very good.
So first of all, kudos to our generation team and led by our AGMO. They have been working very, very hard to not only keep the plants online, but to add capacity. So you'll see in the general manager's report, we have added, every megawatt counts, and we've added some megawatts there. Please be advised, however, that we do have Cabris 2, down right now. It was down for a real quick repair, but unfortunately, it has sprung a boiler tube leak. So we are looking at possibly an extended outage for 4 days. Hopefully, we can get the plant back online by hopefully Sunday or around Sunday. So the team is working on that right now. We've also been making a lot of progress up to get the temporary power units up. And if you do pass by, you'll see that the GGO power plant compound is quite busy. So a lot of progress there. As far as any load shedding outages in the last month, we've only had one. So although we have been informing the public and our ratepayers of any potential load shedding schedule, but still, we've been working very, very hard to ensure that we have enough capacity. We've been partnering with Navy. We've been using the batteries and ensuring that the batteries are charged up so we can use them if we need to during peak.
So
There is
I
still a
just have one
potential,
question.
but very small. Yes,
So
sir.
the GGO combustion turbine is up and running?
It is up and running,
At
and I
full
believe
20
it,
megawatts,
no.
or still at 7? 16, okay.
We are needing a hot section exchange, which they actually put it in Machechi. We're expecting the one for Jigo to arrive next month, around mid-month,
Okay.
and then that will bring it back up to 20 megawatts. Yeah.
And the Machechi unit is still online, right?
Yes,
doing
that's at 20 megawatts, sir.
Yeah, and you have Dededo 1 and 2, of course.
Yes, we do.
And also, sir, I wanted to just call to mind some highlights on Ukadu Power Plant. As of April 30, the accumulated progress, including EPC, is at 85, almost 86%, 85.69. If you have looked through your packet, and you can start to see some of the photos definitely on page 156 in your board books, also on 158, you'll see those beautiful newly rebuilt tanks. So I think it's very important to point this out because tomorrow is the anniversary of Typhoon Mawar. The damage to these tanks were, as I had mentioned before, truly devastating. But this team and the GPA team, John's team, has really helped push this along, and we're very happy to note that these tanks are online. You'll also see in the photos and in the report, starting on your board book, page 163, and especially 164, the progress on the fuel line. You know, we started out talking about the miles and miles and miles of fuel line we have to put on. We're really close. We're very, very close. So we do apologize to everybody who's stuck in that Route 16 traffic. We apologize, however, that is progress, and we're doing it as quick as we can with as little impact as possible. But we're so close, and I, you know, just wanted to make sure that that's highlighted.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Can you ask PDM to find us a power company that doesn't have one outage in a month?
So
He's your dear friend. He's my dear friend. We should ask our dear friend.
there are a lot of outages, as you know, that we can't help. We can't help snakes and trees and people who crash into power poles. And
I don't know what their criteria is, right?
Yeah.
But one outage, and when we say one outage, I'm sorry, we average, when we literally had one circuit go out once, or we're,
that
That's
was
not
under
really
the
how you
load.
read it,
It was
right?
under the load shedding scheme.
yeah.
A load shedding
Where we had to
outage.
shed a circuit.
Correct.
We had one of those in last month, in April.
Last one?
Okay. One.
Yes, sir.
I'm just curious, right? I mean, there was the OSHA violation. That was not the company that we I'm sorry, this contract is ours, right? The putting up this, there was an OSHA violation of the company.
So actually, our contract is with Guam Ukudu Power.
Okay.
They subcontract
ABO.
Doosan subcontracts a bunch of other companies to do several different types
It's
of
not
work.
us.
Almost us.
It's like the solar farm. That's on their side. That's why we do it. They take the risk.
Just a real quick question on the pipeline. How are they testing at the segments? Is it like a pressure test? Do they do a hydraulic test, or is it just like an air pressure test?
I don't know that they're doing air pressure tests. I believe they're doing welding, non-destructive testing to verify the welding and the seams, but I can verify that with you.
I'm just wondering how they're testing the pipeline to ensure that as they complete it, like it holds, there's no leaks, right? So they're either doing some sort of, vacuum or pressure testing, or they're actually running, fluid through it for a hydraulic test. I was just
Yeah,
curious.
they're not, to
Because
my
it is
knowledge,
a
they're
lot.
not running any fluid through it. And they may after the pipeline is complete. And I'll verify that.
Go ahead.
I'm looking at page, how many segments altogether? It says 15 here.
For the
On
pipeline
Route
part.
16 or?
You're looking at page 164.
This picture?
Yes, this is Route 16.
It has several
Yes.
segments, and it's because DPW wanted to control the
Road
lanes.
traffic.
Yeah.
So that it wasn't impacting the commercial customers.
Right.
And the traffic.
What you're seeing, sir, is on the left side, segment 16. That is as you approach, I believe, the underpass, or as you approach the underpass. And then all the way at where, on the right side, where you see segment 9, that's at the 116 intersection.
Okay.
I have a question. And now, our contractor, Okadu Power Plant, has subcontractors for like the pipeline too. Who bears the responsibility for the pipeline, like in the future? If there's a leak, who's the one who's
So,
responsible for that?
Upon commissioning, sir, the pipeline gets turned over to GPA.
To us.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we bear that responsibility. We are, I believe it's in our fuel tank, as part of the field farm performance contract, we are including that pipeline for, under their scope.
Yeah, well, no, my question is there, okay, they're putting something in for us, they're building something. Is there like a warranty period where if anything goes wrong, it's on them?
I'll verify it. I believe,
Can you check?
because they're gonna be using the pipeline, sir, that doesn't turn over to us until after COD, which
Right,
is September.
until September.
So
I
they're
get
gonna be
that.
we're gonna be using that pipe to fill the tanks
Okay.
before February.
We'll learn a lot
So
there.
if there's anything, they
Anything
will,
goes wrong, it's on them, because they're still in, okay.
But it's on them. It's on them.
When
But we
it's-
do own the tank. Once everything, Ukudu's on and pipelines are done, arguably next September, hopefully next September, the pipeline
Transfers
becomes a
the-
GPA asset.
And the tanks also become a GPA asset?
No,
Just the
our
pipeline?
tanks, the
Our
fill farm
Cabras
Our
tanks.
Capital tanks, okay.
But the one at Ukudu,
is
that's,
still there.
that's theirs, that's right. If it fails over there, they fix it.
Yes.
That's right, because they're building the plant and the tanks.
Yeah.
We're just
It
giving them the
turns
fuel.
over after a certain time, right?
Do they ever, well, this is a BOT, right? So we don't own we don't own the tanks at Ukudu till 25 years.
Yeah.
Okay, but the pipeline is ours
After
in
commission.
September. Okay, no, you know.
That's a good, that's,
No.
What, yes.
no, yeah.
John,
COD.
we need to put on our insurance act. That pipeline is valued at how much?
John Kim.
John Kim.
Right now, we can get $40 million.
No.
Estimated value of the pipeline.
Are we insuring that asset?
It's got a far.
Oh, yes.
Value because of the oil that's pushing it, but
Yeah.
what is, when we go to talk to our insurance company, we say, we need this asset insured. You can't carry this by ourselves, it's too
Yes.
much risk.
Yeah. Well, when we,
What are we estimating to add to our insurance policy? This is never factored in, like I was looking at now.
yeah,
We're gonna own this all the way from Cabras.
yes, at the time when we did this back in 2019,
Uh-huh.
we told them we can give $40 million for this pipeline.
Yeah.
But right now, we might have to probably ask one of our engineers, risk engineers, to estimate the value.
Okay.
And then
I
add
mean,
that.
I'm sorry, the proper wording is replacement costs if
Yes.
something happens to this line.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, but you're not replacing the entire line,
No,
you know what I
no,
mean?
again,
That
but-
theoretically, right,
Only
you're
when the
just
The
gonna,
part that scares me, Mike, is I mean, something's gonna happen. I mean,
Sure,
It's again, it's the business interruption when that line goes down and how long it takes and stuff like that. So-
there's two lines.
Yeah, but
right.
one is- Only one.
Only one's diesel, but could you run diesel through the LNG line if you had to?
That was someone asked that question. Something that we need to look at.
Yeah,
We know that. So you cannot run diesel through it?
to check the pressure, I don't know that it has the pressure.
Again, if you look at the picture, on whatever, I can't tell what page this is on it almost looks like an identical pipe. I hope I'm wrong. Again, you get.
Well,
you get-
we hope you're right. We hope you could use dual fuel to
Yeah.
it, right? But I don't know.
So, one more, I think it's one more, there you go.
Quite small.
Yeah.
You can see on the left, it's a different,
The pipe on the left is bigger, and the pipe on the right is
So,
smaller.
maybe-
Huh? The gas line
Gas
is
line
smaller.
so maybe we need to answer that question, in the event, what happens?
well, you have their.
And you have storage at Ukudu.
Yeah.
Well, you fix it.
And it's 30 days at full load. So, I mean,
It's
Well,
solar
okay,
farm.
that's
So-
full
so
all
here-
day.
And at the there's a gantry at Ukudu that you could accept fuel. Could you drop fuel from?
Sure, okay.
Are the tanks set up that you could drop fuel? Worst case scenario.
It would take a lot of
Oh yeah.
That's,
But you could, I mean, we do that.
that's the
at Edgar,
contingency, right?
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
our storage tanks down at Cabras is how big?
196,000 barrels.
Is that 2 or 3 months, right? What do we store at Cabras?
I think that's 60 days. But we also lease tanks.
We do.
But
They're
so
in the
combined-
process of being rehabbed, right?
Right.
Yeah, we're
Reconditioned.
rehabbing
That's not
too.
going to be done until December.
It's been delayed for almost 2 years right now, so probably December. That's what the new estimate is.
So we have combined storage at Cabras, leased and owned, is 2 or 3 months, if if my memory serves me right.
Yeah, 30
Right.
to 60 days. So right now we're renting at TriStar.
Yeah, when you include that and our own tanks, right now, when a tanker offloads and we fill everything up, how many months from that tanker drop? Isn't that don't we store 2 or 3 months? Yeah, it's a couple of months.
Yeah.
And then when Ukudu's up, though, we're gonna, actually, this will effectively act a little bit when we first open. We're gonna
You
fill
send
those
fuel
tanks up
prior
too,
to
right?
February.
At Ukudu.
Yeah.
Prior to
There-
March.
There's a period when they're testing it. That's not ours yet. It's until commissioning. The commissioning date in September,
That,
the
how many
bonus
days it
date,
serves depends.
that's when that pipeline gets turned into us, after the commission.
So you're saying to.
But that's what,
Cabras, it was 30
he's,
days.
okay.
It's on them.
Well, that'd be good to know once it's all done, how much, do we have enough storage? Are we
But
sustaining our?
do you have like, do you have a concern, is there a, what's your concern?
Because technically it's ours. It's always gonna be ours.
The risk of a leak?
You know, whatever, you need to insure it, so you need to know at what time.
Liability is
It's,
always there.
it's like when we're building a building, okay? The contractor has an insurance policy as he's building the building. When he finishes the building, turns the building over to the owner of the building, at that point, the owner of the building has to secure insurance for that building. And this, I imagine it'll be the same thing. But the beautiful thing about this is what, once we get LNG in place, okay? You have the smaller, the LNG line, and you have the diesel line. If either line has a problem, you go to the other line. So
Yeah.
that's the goal.
And
That's the idea.
And the other interesting thing is 40 million is the entire line, right? Right. So do you do all 40 million? Because then the theory is you're gonna lose the whole line in one catastrophic event?
Well, that's
Or-
something you.
Or do you do incremental? I mean, that's a good insurance question.
The risk man.
Our risk
Yeah, the
man-
risk,
engineer
the
should
risk
give us
engineer.
some-
Yeah.
Curious
Yeah,
how
give
you
us some-
think about that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you start thinking about it, because we're
Yes.
looking forward to,
Yes.
you know.
The other thing that comes with it is, we do have a pollution insurance for if there's a leak.
Cover that. But our insurance is gonna change once this all happens.
It was JP Morgan, right,
Yeah,
that
'cause
asked
you're
us
not-
a question about the lines, because
You're not insuring Lucadoo, that's on the power producer.
Yes, yes, yes.
No, I'm just thinking about that line.
Yeah.
Okay, so more thoughts
Yes.
for you guys to work.
Your, I mean, yeah, we should ask that question.
Yeah, we have to,
Yes.
put it on the table.
Okay,
All right.
and that's it? Okay.
Good job,
Oh,
everybody.
yeah, and much shorter than the 105.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Can you teach John?
No,
he's getting-
okay.
He's as old as we are.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
See you Tuesday.
We're adjourned.
John's gonna be rested, he's gonna